Hey guys, Chef Pri here. So today I'm going to give a very basic lesson on how to wash herbs once you get them from the grocery store. Now you probably think this sounds really silly, but when you go to the grocery store, they're usually dumping a lot of those mists on a lot of the produce and the herbs, and it usually gets very wet and soggy, and when you bring it home, by the time you go to use it, maybe the next day or the day after, it's spoiled. I've experienced this several times in my life. I obviously cook regularly, and it's really frustrating because that's just money down the drain. So I have a couple of suggestions as to how you can avoid that, and a lot of these lessons I've learned from my mom. So we actually have done some coriander here already, or cilantro, and I'm going to show you how to do the same thing for parsley. So I'm not sure how many of you actually use parsley regularly. I actually don't, but it's very similar to coriander. So I'm working with some flat leaf parsley here. You can see, beautiful. And it usually comes bundled in a rubber band here. And you could see, if you can see really, there's a lot of dirt and soot in the parsley. So along with sort of dumping the mist on this produce, the grocery stores really don't do that much to clean it. So there's just a lot of dirt and mud sort of just stuck into the herbs, and it's really disgusting. So I'm going to show you how to quickly get rid of that and then how to store it. So first I'm going to take the rubber band off of the parsley. I'm just going to snip it with the scissor and toss it. And in my sink, my large sink, you probably can't see, it's very small, I have a clean large bowl. So try to find the biggest bowl that you have, because you need room to work with. So I'm going to put the bowl into the sink, and I'm going to start filling it with I usually use lukewarm water because my hands are going to be in it, and I don't like working with cold water. It's also not good for your hands. And I'm going to take the parsley, the whole bunch, and I'm just going to dump it into this bowl and have the water start kind of pouring over it. And while this is happening, the dirt and the soot is going to hopefully fall to the bottom of the bowl. That's why you want to do this in a bowl and not just rinse it by hand loosely. There's so much dirt in here, you really want it to sort of get out of the different crevices of the herbs and go away, because it's disgusting. So we're just going to keep rinsing this. You're going to want to do this a couple of times. And then as I rinse, I just pour the dirty water out. And you can see there's a lot of dirt in here. So you're going to want to keep rinsing this. It's going to take, you're going to have to do it a couple of times to really get all of the dirt out of here. And I usually do this on a Sunday, so I can use clean herbs throughout the week, and also so they don't spoil. People are probably doing other activities on a Sunday, like hanging out, relaxing, going out, but this is what I do. Alright, so we're going to just keep rinsing this. This one is actually not that bad. Usually when I get cilantro or coriander, like the one on the counter, it took me a good 10 minutes to really get all the dirt out of it. And it's really frustrating because sometimes these herbs can be really expensive, especially in Manhattan. And so I would hate to just buy this stuff and just kind of throw it in the garbage. And I especially need them to last because I regularly cook, and I'm usually only cooking for myself or one other person, and I'm sure most people in my generation are doing the same. So it would be awful to just continue getting groceries and then having to toss them away. So while I'm doing this, by the way, I'm actually removing the larger, thicker stems of the parsley. We don't want to work with that. I usually don't put the stems into my food. You could reserve it to make like a parsley oil out of it or use it for a stock, but I'm not doing that right now. So as I'm cleaning it, I'm essentially killing two birds with one stone and just removing the stems. And once you kind of do this upfront work, it's pretty much good to go for the rest of the week or for whenever you need it. And there's a couple things you can do after this. one, you could obviously use it right away and start cooking. But two, I like to do this ahead of time prep so it can be ready for me to use throughout the week. And in order for it to last, we actually have to dry it. And there's a couple ways you could do that. And I'll show you what I do once we're done here. So you'll know when you're done once the water is clean and free of dirt and soot and grit. So my water is almost completely clear now. So we're almost done here. All right. Looking good. I'm not a huge fan of parsley, actually. I don't use it all that much. I find it to be a little bitter and a little overwhelming, but I think in certain cuisines it could actually go really, really nicely if used in moderation. And it could actually make a very, very nice pesto or sauce. Right. Almost done here. All the water is absolutely clean. All right. Now that the water is clean and the parsley is all good to go, give it one last pour here. And now what I do is I take the bag that we got from the grocery store, I lay it on the counter, then I actually put a couple layers of paper towel on top of that. So the bag acts as like a protector to catch the water, and then the paper towel is just, it's a clean paper towel so I could lay my parsley on that. So I just take some of that parsley and I lay it across the paper towel. And I usually do this actually in the sun, like I put it on my windowsill and so the natural sunlight can dry it quickly. You could do it any which way you want, but we basically, this is just in an effort to get it completely dry and ready to store. So as I'm doing this, I'm just removing some stems here that we don't want. Just tossing those away. And you basically just want to lay the parsley, I'll show you right here, lay the parsley down. And so you want it to be evenly spread and you want it to completely dry before you store it. So there's two ways you can store it. One, you could take this and actually take the remaining stems of the parsley, bunch it together and put it in a glass of water and then put it in your fridge. Or you can just, using that paper towel that you used to dry it on, roll it up and then place it in your fridge. So I actually do the latter because I have a small fridge and I need to maximize the space. So I don't really have any room to sort of put it in the glass and then stick it into the fridge. But any which way you like, you can do. And then you can use it from there. It'll be good to go. All right, well, thanks for joining me in my Herb 101 lesson. Cheers.